Hey guys, welcome to Testimony Tuesday. I'm Jason McQuinn. We're so excited. We're actually at Man on Fire right now. We got people right outside the room. And here with my good friend Caleb Altmaier. You have had an amazing last year. It was 1 year ago today.
1 year ago. Yeah, maybe some today when I bought the building. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
It was a year ago today that we went down to the men's.
I think it was a year ago today I got the building.
Oh, because it was
And then
February.
It was February 3rd when we did the men's arrival.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, crazy story. We just want to share a quick testimony that last year about this time, my friend Corey DeYoung calls me up. He goes, "Hey man, you love like kind of kicking the bee's nest a little bit here, but I got this person who's asking if we would come like spiritually house clean this." I'm like, "What is it?" He goes, "It's the Deja Vu Strip Club." I'm like, "What? Like, what are they going to do with it? Like, rename it and like still use it for that? I'm not into that." And he's like, "No, it's helping." I think your name back then was Helping Rescue Captives.
Helping captives. Yeah.
And now it's Helping Captives.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Would you be down?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's cool. When can we do it?" And I think you took control of it February 1st. You got the keys.
Yeah.
And I think our men's camp last year was February 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, we got Men on Fire. We can't." And I'm like, "Wait a minute." I'm literally, and I was in that moment. I was writing the curriculum for kind of the vision for last year. And it was all about freedom from addiction, pornography, all this stuff. And I was like, "Wait, when can we do it?" So we get a hold of you, and it was like the craziest thing because I was like, the only day if we wanted to do something, but we could do that Saturday night. I remember calling you up, and I was like, "What if we did a revival night in the strip club?"
Yeah.
And why don't you share some of the stories from that? The whole thing was just like,
Well, and we were praying for that. So that was like, because I even named my son Hezekiah because he was one of the only kings that tore down the high places.
yeah,
So for me, the night before that, there was 2 stages in the building. And so the first night, I went in there with my father and my son and my pastor, and we took out the main stage. And then we were like, we really want to have a night where men can come and rededicate the building to the Lord, because it was a gentleman's club, right? It was a men's club, and it was known for objectifying and exploiting women.
Yeah.
And we want to be known for healing our kids and being protectors of women and children, not predators. And so we were all excited. We wanted to do something and do a men's night. And so when you called me, I was like, "This is nuts." So we were like, we're not even going to, we were going to tear both the stages out to open it up. And then when you called me, I was like, "Well, I'm not going to have time to knock them both out." So I said, "I guess we're going to be doing a revival/stage smashing night," which, the news loved the second part of that.
yeah, yeah.
So
Sorry about that.
no,
Remember, I got a call from like whatever Spokane, and I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be great." I just like shared like,
yeah, they have it in the newspaper.
yeah, and then Caleb's like, "You realize what they were trying to get out of you?" I was like, "Oh, it wasn't as pure and innocent as they."
Yeah, I'm
as
like,
they-
"Hey, bro, this isn't up in the middle of the woods, Idaho. They're trying to get you."
Yeah.
But hey, it was awesome. We got to share the gospel. You shared it perfectly. It was totally the heart of what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
And that night was incredible. So we just kind of sent it out there. I didn't know who this Joel Ramsey guy was, but Joel basically said, "My friend's friend is buying a strip club and turning it into a revival service." So then it went out throughout the whole community that we were starting a church there.
Yeah.
Even though we were opening up an anti-trafficking center, which it is what it is, right? So we're
The telephone game is pretty fun in the
it
church
was
world.
so funny. No, this went like viral within the city. So
Yeah.
still to this day, people think we're opening up a church.
Yeah.
And so that's so that was my first experience. And then everybody just rolls in. There's like 300 guys that show up. It's so packed in there. We worship the Lord. You brought some guys that were law enforcement.
Oh, that's right. We nailed.
It's still in the wall. I've left it there.
Come on.
Haven't touched it.
So,
left the knife in there.
I had this vision ahead of time of like, we need to serve the enemy an eviction notice.
Yeah.
And like, demons are very legalistic, and I was like, let's actually have law enforcement fill out a proper eviction notice to the enemy
Yeah.
and all the demons and principalities of that location.
Yeah.
I was like,
So they surprised me that night, and they did that, and they just jammed it in the wall.
which also was probably not good for the news.
That was the one picture they got.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is what they wanted.
This is what they're about.
And then
Throwing knives in the wall.
right when we started that, they said, we get a guy that gets up to pray. I think it was you that just started praying, and you just said, any spirit of Jezebel, any spirit of Delilah, we cast you out, right? Like, we're trying to get this going. Then we have an amazing worship night. Joel preaches a message. 30 guys get saved.
Yeah.
Like some of my friends that sold drugs got saved that night. There was just a lot of amazing things that happened. We had dancers that came to protest. They got, we were able to pray with them and minister to them. And then the next morning, the news basically just took out like the spirit of Jezebel and Delilah. They just said, Jezebel's and Delilah's, we cast you out, because that's what the news.
I'm
likes
0
to
for
do.
3 on the news, guys.
Yeah. So all that to say, Jason and I have both started our own podcast studio so that we can be in charge of our own narrative.
Along with Trump, right? He's got his
Yeah.
own social media network.
Yeah,
So,
so they love to spin it. But what a powerful night, and I think it just set the standard. Here's what's crazy, you guys didn't know. So after you left, the bouncer came back in, and he started talking to me, and he said that there was 10 guys that snuck in to fight us that were in the building, and he said we all showed up because we didn't know when we heard you were smashing the stages, we didn't know if you like hated the girls, if you were there to hurt them. So we all showed up, and so at the beginning when you guys got up and said, hey, we don't have a problem, we love these women. If you're here because you hate them, you can leave. This isn't a night to like just for clickbait. Like, we're really here because we want to dedicate the building to the Lord. They all left, and they went to the bar next door and just waited, and then nothing happened. So
I was hoping you were gonna say one of them got saved.
no, they left, and then realized like in that moment, like these guys are like legit. Plus, I don't know. It's not like it was a group of 300 skinny jean sweater vest guys.
It's true.
It
There
was
were
like
like
a bunch of bikers, all these North Idaho guys in guns. So I think it was a little like, it was a little different.
We'd
than
have our
maybe
hands
what-
full.
Yeah.
So
So
we had Joel Ramsey in those skinny jeans. So
Yeah.
there was one guy in skinny jeans.
you always got to get the preacher up there, right,
That's
with the
true.
skinny jeans, so that you know it's going to be a good message.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an amazing night. But I think what's cool is that kind of sparked this message that Spokane, the city that founded Father's Day, that's known for founding Father's Day, we had men in our community that wanted to take back our building and want to be known for healing women instead of objectifying them. And so that kind of started this last year of me like going on podcasts and traveling and meeting people and being able to share the gospel. I think we had over 1 million views on the different shows. So like, you just never know, just some simple obedience of you just calling me and going, hey, you want to do that? And I'm sitting over here trying to be obedient and going, hey, I'm going to knock this stage out and open it up so we can do a men's night. And then you call
I was like,
me.
no, bro. That is the men's night.
Yeah, you were like, no, we'll just do it. I'm like, that's like the next day. I'm like, I guess it's gonna be a stage smashing night too. And man, it was good because as soon as it got out, as soon as the building closed, it was viral. Like it hit the whole community. So it was amazing that we just had the night like within 2 or 3 days.
It was all planned, ready to rip.
It was already ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, only
And
God.
we rolled down there with audio team. We like.
I didn't need to do anything. I just showed up. It was the best blessing in the world.
We just don't get to do fun stuff very often.
Yeah,
so it's like,
it was amazing.
put
I
us
was
in
like,
there.
this is great.
So yeah, we rolled down, and our audio team was. Some of them had to go to Breakthrough Church in Yakima that night. So some of them were like, "Hey, we can set up, but we got to go."
Okay,
so we had
yeah.
a different team like tearing down.
Yeah.
And then we kept going to Yakima, and it was.
Yeah.
Crazy. But I remember walking in there,
Okay.
and
Yeah, what was your experience?
so like, it's been a minute since I've been a strip club. I mean, 25, 30
Yeah.
years, and it just like it gripped me as soon as I walked in. I was like, "Whoa!" Like, we're not in Kansas anymore, Ted. Like I run a youth camp, right? So.
Well, and I had already taken down all the naked photos, all the stuff that was in there, but we hadn't really worshipped with a group of people other than just like my father and
I remember walking to that back corner, and there was like a stairwell that went downstairs,
Okay.
and it was just like, it felt haunted. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not real big like
Yeah.
Jeepers Creepers guy, but I was like, nothing down there is good for me. No way. Like,
We were getting text messages from people on Facebook like, "Have fun with the ghosts." Like, it was just a well-known like. haunted.
was it really?
Yeah.
I was like, that hole is haunted.
Even workers that used to work there were hitting me up, and I had friends that used to work there that were, some of them weren't necessarily dancers, but they were waitresses or whatever. And they were like, "Hey, like I hope you're prepared for the ghosts and all this stuff." And that was my first experience.
Thanks for telling me a year
when
later.
I first went in there.
There's a history of this.
Well, whatever. And I'm like, they're not ghosts. You know what they are. It's time
Yeah.
to go. So I'm like, when we actually pulled up to the first building, when there were still naked photos on stuff, I walked in there and it just felt dark.
Yeah.
But something in me wanted to press in and kick them out.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, I guess this is
Well, then we walked to the other corner of it. So it would be like, remember where the stage was?
Yeah.
Like you walk at the front door, or not our stage, but where we worship from.
Yeah, the main
It was like
room.
you go in. That was the stage. It was like there was a back corner to the right, and that was another like really dark.
Yeah.
And
So how they had it set up was you had the main room, then they went into a VIP room, and then that back corner at one point was an exclusive VIP room.
well, that would probably be the
Yeah.
exclusive
Yeah.
demons that go with that.
Some exclusive stuff that happened in the back room. So
But
yeah, that's probably what you were feeling.
yeah. It's cool though that to see by the end of the day, it was like, man. I remember at one point we started praying for guys and they're falling over in the spirit, right?
Yeah.
And I remember that carpet was so disgusting. that
Yeah,
you-
they were going down. They were coming up as baby powder and glitter.
literally, you guys. But I was like, guys were going down and we're praying for them and like,
Yeah, it was powerful.
and I'm like, you couldn't pay me to touch that ground, like nevertheless lay in it, and like all these guys are getting slain in the spirit, people getting demons cast
Yeah,
out
but
of
when the
them.
Holy Spirit shows up, it doesn't matter. They just
Well, and even for me, like
done.
I remember towards the end of the night, it was like the presence of God just hit that place, and I actually knelt down. And I was like, God, thank you for what you're doing here. Thank you for your presence.
Yeah.
And then I like had a realization. I'm like, you're kneeling. Like I went to stand up and like, let's just say I had a hard time like my knees separating from the carpet, like a little distance.
Well, and I think that's the big thing is God loves them so much. He has
Yeah.
such a heart for those people that were working there, and you know, a lot of them have really bad backgrounds, really rough pasts, and a lot of them have just been told their whole life the only thing they're good for is their body, you know, and so, you know, he loves them so much. He just has different plans for that building, different plans for the future of what's going to happen there, and that was what touched me. And I think even the women's night, we had even more women show up than men.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? More
Yeah.
women like to go to church than guys. So when we had the women's night, we had more women. Bro, that one I couldn't even stay in the room. I don't know what it was. It was just there was something about all of these women like worshiping God in that building that was it was so powerful in the men's night. You're like, you can't top this. And then also the women's night, I'm like, I had to walk out. I was like
Yeah.
tearing up. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people's stories, so I'm sitting there. I'm like, that woman just went through a divorce. Her husband was just cheating on her. He was at the club. Like, I know all these background stories. They're in there just worshiping the Lord. Some of them were dancers in the past there. And I
What
was
the enemy
like,
meant for evil, right?
yeah, it was so pure of like God just wanting to bless. And so I think that's why, like, we, you know, you get asked and they're always like, why don't you tear the building down? I'm like, no way, man. Like, this is just a depiction of what God did for us in our
That's-
life. Like,
This
you wanna know
showgirls
my
is me.
past? That's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say. I'm like, I snuck in there with 16 with a fake ID,
Yeah.
you know? So I'm like, Jesus didn't, I deserved hell and I deserved to be ripped apart.
Yeah.
He didn't do that. He just cleaned me up and gave me a new calling.
I was
and that's
that
what
nasty
we're so
place,
excited to do it.
you know, with baby powder and glitter on the floor and the carpet. And
Yeah.
you know, I had some demons in me, and it took Jesus to come into my life, clean me up a little bit,
Yeah.
and repurpose me.
So it's been a fun year, and what I think is really funny is that like 15 minutes ago we just got this text. So
Breaking news, guys.
yeah, breaking.
Can we do
news.
like the little news ribbon thing?
Yeah. So I think what's cool is literally what I felt like was even if we were gifted all the money to just buy the building outright, I felt like the Lord said, I want you to dedicate this building to me for a year. And then, of course, as you're thinking through that, you're like, all right, well, let's dedicate the building to the Lord. And I really felt like for 6 months, just not even to do anything. And so for the first 6 months, we just did revival services and prayer meetings, seen hundreds of people get saved, turned the, there's a open shower that we turned into like a baptismal. And then about 6 months, we kind of started looking into the process of like developing the plans, the permits, and it took us 6 months to get all the permitting approved, get all the asbestos removed out of the building, and all this stuff before we could start demo. So 15 minutes, 15 minutes ago, I get this text message, and it says, oh, hold on. It says, hey, I just got the call. The demo permit is finalized. The construction company's coming on Tuesday to mark all the walls. The roll-up bin's going to be delivered Tuesday morning. It's go time. So I wrote her, my assistant, and I said, hey, what day was the men's revival? And she sends me the text, and it was literally February 3rd, and demo starts February 4th. So it was exactly a year since we dedicated the building to the Lord. It'll be a full year where the building was dedicated, and the only thing that happened in there was worship. And now we're going to start demo.
Come on.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Like only God could do that. So I'm obviously excited to be able to turn that building into a place where it's going to be known as a freedom center and a place of healing for women coming out of addiction and coming out of trafficking. So it's going to be used from, again, just making money off of objectifying women to now being a building that's known for healing.
If people wanted to support you guys helping captives, what's the best way to like support your ministry? Because you guys are actually moving the needle. I'll just be real. Everyone and their brother seems to be in. I'm just gonna be real, buddy. Everyone and their brother seems to be in. Like I'm helping rescue, trafficked women. And it's like, cool. How many women have you actually helped get free? Well, we're still working on our first one.
Yeah.
But you've raised 120 grand from your church. Yeah. Why don't you let like the pros do it? But you guys are actually doing it.
Yeah, we've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
So we didn't even. It was like God called us into it. This last year we helped 120 women.
See, you guys. I literally probably have called out 2 or 3 dozen people who are like, "This is my mission," and they're fundraising.
A lot of them have foundations, so like you'll look into it a little bit and you'll go. They might be raising money and then they give money to the charities, or they're more like teaching about trafficking.
Some of them are just fundraising. I'm just gonna say.
we don't. We do the actual recovery services for victims. Yeah.
So ladies come in.
Mm-hmm.
They get free. They get get detoxed oftentimes.
Yeah. So one of the things that when we started out was we were a long-term program. So that meant we would get them after they went through another agency that helped them get stable. Mm-hmm. Then they would show up to our program, and we'd walk them through like 9 months of healing and then transitional living. The problem we were getting is there was so few agencies in the United States that actually would do the emergency stabilization piece. I think there's like about 10 in the whole country, that most of the women that come to our program, they weren't ready to go into a program.
Yeah.
And so we pivoted and we used all of our resources, and we felt like that's when we changed it from HRC Ministries to HC, or Helping Captives, was we had food distribution, food bank, young adult housing, like we had all this other stuff, and then we had our anti-trafficking program. And he said, I want you to be the best anti-trafficking agency you can be. So we shut everything down that wasn't trafficking related and put all of our resources into being the best emergency stabilization agency. So now they come to us, there's a whole intake process. Most of the time they come to us high on drugs. We get wand all their stuff, make sure there's nothing being tracked, they're not being tracked, help them, go through a whole assessment, mental health assessment, also help them get clean, help them get stable, and then they're with us for a season. And then once they're stable, then we get them into those vetted other long-term organizations. And those other long-term organizations love us because when we send them a client, they're actually ready to go into a program. Yeah. So we have a vision to make sure that we still have our stabilization and outreach and emergency facility. And then down the road, we're going to reopen a ranch and do the long-term care. Wow. But right now, we have so many people in need that need the emergency care that's what we're specializing in. And that's why we needed this building specifically, is because trafficking doesn't happen Monday through Friday from 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And we needed a spot that if we needed to do emergency drop off or something, it could be like on a bus line, somewhere where everybody knew how to find us and could be open 24/7.
So you guys aren't demoing the whole building. You're just demoing.
No, it's the building itself.
You're giving it a big remodel.
Yeah, we're pretty much like we're demoing the whole interior. And so the box itself is exactly what we need, because it used to be a movie theater. And so it has these really nice trusses. It has no windows. It's pretty much everything that we need. And there's no load-bearing walls because it was a movie theater. So we just have to completely gut it, rip out the carpet, rip out the drywall, and just start over. But yeah, that's why it's a very unique building, which is why it actually worked out for us.
If people want to sew into this and partner, if they're like, hey, I'm not going to kick doors in and go rescue women, how could they partner with you?
Yeah, the easiest way is just go to our website, helpingcaptives.org, and then there's a bunch of different ways it'll kind of give you options, whether you want to have us do a training with you, or your church or your business, whether you want to volunteer at an event or if you want to give, you just push the donate button. And you can even go to this particular page, and dollar for dollar, every cent that you give will go to the capital campaign.
Come on. How much do you think it costs to get a girl from day one through the end of your program?
Through the end of our entire, if we had the full meal deal.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I would have to look at the numbers. So it's about $500,000 a year to run the whole program with all the staff that's needed, and so then divide that by 6 beds.
Okay.
So you're at, because it takes a lot of staff. I mean, you have to have 24-hour staffing to be able to do what we do.
85,000.
So divided by 6 beds.
83,000. I was close, guys.
Yeah.
That was some...
So it's about, well, but that's that'd be for like an entire bed for an entire year, right? But then we usually have women for less time than that. So that would be divided by 12. Yeah, you're probably $8,000 a girl.
8,000. So if you guys wanted to like be like, I want to put a face to a dollar amount, and I actually felt the Lord just prompt me right now, just like there's someone watching this who's like, I'll sponsor a girl.
Yeah.
So if you start seeing some $8,000 donations.
Yeah, it's about, I would say, based on the amount that we're helping and going through the system, for a woman's usually with us, we were looking at the average is close to 30 days.
Okay.
And then we just doubled our beds, so now we have 6 beds that are fully staffed. And then it costs about $500,000.
Shoot, bro, we should team up. We don't do much out here in the winter. However, you see what happens when God moves at camp. Like, there's all kinds of weird.
Well, you just need, it's a little different than just grabbing somebody, throw them in a host home or something like that. Like all of our staff are like professional counselors, case managers, nurses. Like there's a lot of like legit care.
You guys are doing it real.
Yeah.
Doing it real. So, well, hey, I wanted to thank you for coming on. For those of you that are watching, if you want to help, it's helpingcaptives.org.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling the urge, just smash that donate button and be obedient to the Lord. Pour into what God's doing in Spokane and all the surrounding area. Let's get some girls saved. So,
dude, now you got me thinking. You got my math head going.
The math is I can smell the smoke right here.
Well, I'm trying to figure out. This is the greatest question I've ever been asked. So it's 500 divided by 12. So hold on, $500,000 divided. I just got to do the math here. Now you're literally got me thinking about this. So it's about $41,000 a month to run the program.
Divided by 6.
Divide that by 6.
6 girls.
So it's about $7,000.
We said 8 earlier. If you're feeling generous,
yeah.
8. If you want to be legalistic, 7.
If you really want to sponsor a full bed, it's about $7,000 a person, and that's full care. Food, clothing, shelter,
literally rescuing
counseling,
your life from
detox, case management.
What was that movie that just came out? What was that movie?
Sound of Freedom.
Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
So many of us watch Sound of Freedom, and you guys are doing a lot of that, of like getting women like fresh off the streets, and their bodies are being sold. So if you guys want to partner with that, just want to encourage you guys, like helpingcaptives.org. Go there, support him. He's doing the hard work. Let's just back those.
And now I know what the numbers are: $40,000 a month or $7,000 a client. So
all right,
that's what it's averaging out to. So thanks for letting me figure that out. I'm sure my staff will be like, "You should probably know that."
Yeah, I should know. It should be in the flyer.
Why don't you give me the heads up question before you ask me?
It just came to me. I'm spontaneous. Well, Lord, I just thank you for my brother Caleb. God, I thank you for helping captives. God, I just thank you for everything you're doing all over the Northwest and beyond. Thank you that you've been moving at Camp Bear Paw this week during Men on Fire, and we just pray that many women are going to come through this place, and that each and every one of them will be eternally free. That every chain will be broken. They'll never pick up those chains and bondages ever again. And I just thank you for freedom over them, God, and financial provision and abundance to fall on helping captives. I pray they get so many donations and so much blessing that they're going to just start pouring into other ministries. In Jesus' name. Amen. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in for Testimony Tuesday. We will see you guys next time.